What is good, y'all? Welcome to the Mission Ready Men briefing right here on the SHR Media Network. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd, in the year of our Lord 2025. And this show is for those of us who fear God, love our country, and don't back down from a fight. Because the battle we're in isn't just political, it's spiritual. And we've got truth to expose. We've got nonsense to crush, and we've got the fight for faith, family, and freedom, which never takes a day off. The woke crowd, as we can see, is melting down. The regime is lying through its teeth, and patriot warriors across the country are stepping up. We're going to cover all of it, and as much as we possibly can. Make sure you're following Mission Ready Men at Mission Ready Men on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Truth Social. And if you want to wear the fight, grab your gear at missionreadymen.com and click on Shop 7 Armors. And now that business is done, we got a lot to get into, so let's get after it. Now, real quick, before I get into the show that I had planned, I want to talk really briefly about the Pearl Street Mall attack. It was a peaceful pro-Israel rally in Boulder, Colorado, and it turned into a scene of terror. And it wasn't random. As those of you who have been paying attention, I'm sure you know, if you're watching this or listening to this, you know, it was a targeted attack against Jewish Americans and their supporters. On June 1st, Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, Colorado, the pro-Israel group Run for Their Lives was holding a peaceful demonstration, one which they hold every week. I believe it started after the October 7th attacks or shortly thereafter. And they were there rallying and supporting Israel and the trying to bring home the hostages. Muhammad, I don't even want to say his name. He's an Egyptian national. Attacked the crowd with a makeshift flamethrower and Molotov cocktails. And apparently he had, I think he used 4 in the attack, and he had 14 more in his vehicle. So he was set to do some damage, some real damage, more than he did. More than he was allowed to get away with. And just as an aside, Colorado has some ridiculous gun laws, but imagine if somebody had been there carrying a weapon, how much less destruction he would have caused. He injured 8, age 52 to 88. And there's been conflicting reports. I've heard reports that one person passed away, but as I was preparing this morning, I didn't see any reports of any fatalities from this attack. He's been charged with attempted murder, not murder. So I just pray that all of the injured do survive. And of course, witnesses heard this guy yell "Free Palestine" and "End Zionists." And when he was questioned by police, he told them that he had been planning it for over a year. He waited until his daughter graduated before he conducted this attack, and he doesn't have any regrets. Of course not. Of course not. Why would he? He's a Hamas sympathizer, and he carried out the attack as any Hamas sympathizer would. And of course, he was here illegally. He entered the country legally, and then his visa expired, and he stayed. This immigration issue is a national security issue, no matter how you slice it. So he's been charged with attempted murder. As I said, he's being held on $10 million bond. He's not getting out. And he's being charged with a hate crime. I've said this before, I don't believe in hate crimes. A crime is a crime, and this was a terrorist attack. That should be enough. But it is what it is. So we're just going to deal with what is and not what should be. But this is this has been allowed to fester. This has been allowed to fester with the growing the growing sentiment of anti-Semitism in the United States. We see it on college campuses. We see it everywhere. We saw the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania. His house was firebombed with him and his family inside. We just saw the murder of the 2 Israeli embassy workers a couple of weeks ago. And now this. And of course, the left, they got nothing. They got nothing. Whenever there's violence against Jews or pro-Israel demonstrators, well, the motive is murky. We can't really discern what the motive is. But of course, anyone with more than 2 brain cells to rub together knows what the motive is. Anti-Israel hate, anti-Western civilization hate, anti-America hate, just hate. And they and they fully endorse it. They fully support it. All right. I just wanted to mention that real quick. It deserves a mention. It deserves more than I gave it, and there are a lot of other people out there who are doing deep dives into it and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna belabor the point here, because we have a lot of other stuff to get into. So let's do that. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is ABZ. Thanks for joining us here in chat. By the way, if you want to interact with us in the chat, head over to YouTube. It's the best place, even though I don't like promoting YouTube, but at the same time, it's the best place to interact with us. On Facebook and some of the other platforms, we can't really see some of the chats that come through, but YouTube, head over there and check us out. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you disagree with me. I would love to hear from you if you disagree with me. But anyway, I want to talk about the war on truth and the war on women and girls in sports. And fairness and common sense, really, is being sacrificed on the altar of gender ideology. God created us male and female. That's not political. That's just biblical truth. And it's being the left and these gender confused ideologues are basically just defecating on biblical truth right in front of us. Right in front of us. And I apologize if you can hear that. My dog is going nuts right now. I bring this up because two biological, I hate using that term. Two dudes just dominated girls' state track meets. One in Washington State and one in California. And they're finally seeing some backlash on that. In Washington State, Donovan Brown, who is going by Veronica Garcia, and I think he went by another name before Veronica Garcia, but that's neither here nor there. The fact is he's a dude. He's a dude, and he just won the Washington State 2A girls 400-meter state title. And of course, I shouldn't say of course, because a lot of people do support this madness, but he was greeted with silence and then a smattering of boos, and his fellow competitors were cold, according to him. He claimed that he expected sportsmanship. Well, if you expect sportsmanship, then don't cheat. Don't cheat. It's that plain and simple. But you're a cheater. Now I don't know what his performance was like when he was competing with boys, but he was probably pretty mediocre at best. Because another one we're going to talk about was terrible. Um, but let me see if I have. Yeah, let's take a look at this, because this is him winning the event. Let's check it out. I think this is it. Yeah, here we go.
Second place, Lauren Matthews. And first place, your 2025 winner, in a time of 55.70 from East Valley of Spokane, Veronica Garcia. Your girls 400 meter.
Garcia, East Valley of Spokane. Lauren Matthew, West Valley, Spokane. And Veronica Garcia is your state champ in that 2A 400.
Second place, Lauren.
Yeah. So that was the event, and then the podium, the medal presentation on the podium. You're a cheater, dude. You're a cheater, and you should expect boos. You should expect your fellow competitors to not have any respect for you. And this is just part and parcel of the idea that reality is just being reality and truth are just being brushed aside. I wanted to take a look at this too, because this just proves this clip we're about to watch just proves with data that these people are willfully just disregarding, and as I said before, just defecating on truth and common sense. Let's take a look at this here, because this is Dr. Phil talking to a gender deluded activist who has said some of the dumbest things on some of these shows. He's been on Piers Morgan. We're about to watch him on Dr. Phil and a few other shows where he just says the most ridiculous things. And it's hard to even imagine that he actually believes what he's saying half the time. But let's take a look at this.
Dr. Carol Hooven from Harvard University, she is very much supportive of the transgender population across the board. She did a meta-analysis of like 50 different studies looking at hormone suppression therapy and testosterone blockers. And the conclusion of looking at over 50 studies was that after testosterone blockers, there's only about a 5 to 10% drop in muscle mass, and that there's no evidence whatsoever that these advantages reduce to the extent that it would match a female-bodied person. And the reason is that trans women who block testosterone do not remove initial male advantages. It doesn't change wingspan. It doesn't change post-pubescent male's anatomy. And there are only slight changes. At the most, you start with a difference of about 45% across the board in lean body mass, 40% in upper muscle mass, 33% in lower body muscle mass, 83% in tendon resistance, 30% in cardiac output. And the most you're going to get is a 10% reduction, and that doesn't even almost get to a level playing field. So even
Not
with
even almost.
hormone therapy and testosterone blockers, particularly post-pubescent, it doesn't level the playing field at all. So what you're saying is not supported by the science. The advantages of height, wingspan, bone strength, larger heart, and greater lung volume, the only thing that seems to equate is hemoglobin.
That was a little longer than I really wanted to play, so I'm not going to get into the rest of it where this dude Blossom just makes a fool of himself. But he goes on to say that he doesn't believe that there's been enough studies because there aren't that many of these gender diluted athletes in the NCAA, which the study didn't mention the NCAA at all. But that's his his position on it, which is stupid. But there's another gender diluted dude competing in girls athletics, and this one is in California, and I'm sure you've heard of A.B. Hernandez. He is a dude who is who qualified for the girl state championship in long jump, triple jump, and a couple of other events. And the California Interscholastic Federation responded to backlash against A.B. Hernandez by doing this pilot program to allow biological females, girls, who barely missed the cut because A.B. Hernandez stretched the field so much, allowed them to share the podium with the dude who, I don't want to say won, but the dude who took the titles. And there were protests. People were wearing Save Girl Sports T-shirts, and a plane flew over the event. No boys, with a banner saying "No boys in girl sports." There was an arrest, but there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more pushback. And I'm not saying do anything to get yourself arrested, even anything violent. I mean, people have been arrested in protests, and sometimes that's what you have to do. And I understand that. I'm not saying go around and start punching people and engaging in that kind of activity. That's not what I'm talking about. Just protest and let your voice be heard. And if that means you end up getting arrested, well, so be it. But there's another there was another clip, and this one's long, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. But Julie Hamill was on CNN. She is the president of the California Justice Center, and she's taken a stand on this. And she is being interviewed by Breonna Keelar, who is a left-wing propagandist on CNN. Well, pretty much all of them except for Scott Jennings and Shermichael. Can't remember his last name. Shermichael Singleton. They're pretty much the only ones on CNN that are not propagandists for the regime. But take a listen to watch this, because this is Julie Hamill just makes Breonna Keelar look like the idiot that she is. Here we go.
Make this fair for her to compete, for those who are competing against her. What would that kind of structure in competition look like?
Well, before we get her answer, she needs to compete. A.B. Hernandez, the dude, needs to compete against other dudes. It's that plain and simple. That's what would make it fair. Let's see what Julie has to say.
Who is her?
AB.
Okay, AB Hernandez is a male who identifies as a female. What would be fair is to have Hernandez competing in the male category. It is not fair to the females competing to have to compete with a male.
Exactly. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Okay, so in Trump's federal funding threat, is that something, though, that would hurt all student athletes, including athletes who are assigned female at birth?
Assigned female at birth. Come on. Are we still really doing this? Are we still really doing this? You are born a boy or a girl, male or female. There is no assigning of anything. It's just, like I said, propagandist.
Would his federal funding threat hurt athletes?
If the money is taken away.
Right. So the law actually says that schools that do not abide Title IX or other federal laws cannot receive federal funds. So that's not Trump's fault. The problem is that the state with AB 1266.
But you understand, Julie, there's two views here on Title IX. So just to be clear, not everyone agrees with you on how you're viewing it.
Well, there are people who agree with Julie, and then everyone else is wrong. It's that plain and simple.
So in that regard, if you were to take away the funding on as it pertains to trans athletes, not everyone agrees with you. I think we just have to be clear about that. If you are taking away the funds for athletes, student athletes in California, isn't that going to hurt all of them?
Taking away federal funds is going to hurt all California kids, which is why the state of California needs to comply with federal law. It's very simple.
So when you dig into this,
She goes into the science and how there needs to be more studies and all this nonsense. Children know this. 4 and 5-year-old kids know this and understand this. There are differences between boys and girls, men and women. We've known this for as long as humans have been on this planet. And to say that we need more research to study whether or not it's fair for dudes to compete against girls, how dumb can you possibly be? Well, appears to be about that dumb. But it's just, it's baffling to me, really. It's baffling. And what this does is this tells girls and women who have worked their butts off to get to these positions, to get to state championships, to get to the Olympics, to get to world championships. When they allow dudes to compete and take those spots away, they're just saying, well, you don't matter. You don't matter. These dudes make better women than you do. So suck it up. Work harder. Somebody actually said that. Somebody actually said this will just push girls to work harder and compete. It's like, come on. This dude, AB Hernandez, was like 500th in the state in his events when he was competing with boys. He was terrible. And now he's winning events because he's pretending to be a girl. He's not a girl. He never will be a girl. None of these people will ever be. None of these dudes pretending to be women will ever really be women. It's just. It's common sense. It's truth. And these people are waging a war against it. And we need to continue to speak up, because I think the tide is turning a little bit. I mean, this is the left coast. We're talking California and Washington. I mean, those states are nearly a lost cause at this point. It's going to take some serious prayer from Christians to turn that around. And I don't know if anybody's even really going to care, frankly. But yeah, Christians need to speak up and take this to the next level. And I'm not talking about violence, just so that we're clear. But we need to take it up a notch. And dudes, men, stand up for your daughters. Stand up for your daughters, because this fight is on you. This fight is on you. You have allowed it to get to this point. So now it's time to step up. All right. I want to get, I went a little long on a couple of things, but I want to get into this, because this is another important assault on truth. And recently, RFK, he announced that the federal government is no longer going to recommend that COVID jabs be administered to healthy children and pregnant women. The marketing for these jabs was the safe and effective chant that the left was hitting us with was just a marketing ploy. It had nothing to do with medicine. It had nothing to do with research. It had nothing to do with science. And I know people are going to label me and have labeled me anti-vax. But I'm not anti-vax. I've had vaccines. I'm not against the vaccines that have been proven to actually be effective. I had all my vaccines when I was a kid. Of course, back then, I think it was only like 6 that I needed, maybe 8, but it was nothing like the 72 I think it is now that kids are subjected to. So this is not an anti-vax rant. I'm pro-truth, pro-parental rights, because a lot of these things, the parents really don't have a say if they want to put their children in school and things like that. And pro-informed consent. They told us for so long that these jabs were safe and effective. And now it turns out that is, we always knew it wasn't true. I mean, let's be honest. We always knew. It couldn't possibly have been true. It couldn't possibly have been true because, I mean, it was called Operation Warp Speed. They pushed this through so quickly. And it's one of the things that I had a huge problem with President Trump in his first term. And a lot of people have said to me, well, you're a Trump cultist and Trump is your God and all this other nonsense. No, you're afraid to criticize Trump. You're afraid to disagree with Trump. No, absolutely not. I thought this was a mistake from the jump. And anyone who followed me at that point in time knows that. And now we're seeing the effects of the limited testing, if any testing was done on these things. We're talking about myocarditis, even though we saw this, we saw the myocarditis thing when the COVID was at its apex, but they said that it was rare and it was mild, even though we had athletes in tip-top condition drop dead on football fields and baseball fields and soccer pitches. But it was mild. It was a mild case of death. Ridiculous. But thankfully, RFK, as the head of HHS, has decided that they are no longer going to recommend that for healthy children and pregnant women. And in fact, let's take a look at his announcement, because it was pretty good. And a lot of people did not like this at all and are hitting him hard for this. And you know what? I don't care. I absolutely don't care. I think this was the right call. And let's take a listen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary, and I'm here today with NIH Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya and FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary. I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
That ends today. It's common sense and it's good science.
There's no evidence healthy kids need it today, and most countries have stopped recommending it for children.
We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
Produced by the
Absolutely. This was great. This was the right move. And the reason why I am, one of the reasons why I'm so against it, is because they weren't honest about any of the risks. They knew about the myocarditis. They knew that hadn't been tested, even though they told us that it was. The people who took it were the test bed for this. Let's be honest. The people who either voluntarily or because they had to take the jab to lose their job, that was the testing. And I know a lot of people who took the jab. A lot of people who took the jab. Some because they had no choice in order to keep their jobs. Some because they just believed what the regime was telling them. And some of those people now are suffering illnesses and complications that they never had before. Heart issues. And a lot of those people also have had COVID multiple times. A lot of those people told me that when I had it, I deserved it because I didn't get jabbed. And now all those people, like I said, have had it multiple times. And I had it that one time. It was severe, yes. I was very ill, but I only had it once. And people I know who haven't taken a jab for whatever reason, either have had it once or haven't had it at all. But we talked about the risk of myocarditis, and now there's these anecdotal reports of turbo cancers in younger, healthier people. This needs to be investigated. This needs to be investigated. But of course, the people in charge, the people who develop these things, are downplaying these risks. Yeah, that's right, BZ. There is a reason you had to waive your initial rights to sue. It was unproven. And that's right. That is how you build immunity. You get it. You build up your antibodies, and those are better than any man-made formula that hasn't been tested. But anyway, these people are just evil, and a lot of the people who are involved in this who really knows? I mean, it could be part of a It could be part of a plan to thin the herd, so to speak. It could be any number of things, and we just don't want to be a part of it. And I'm proud that I am among the conservatives who stood against it despite the illness that I had to deal with. And now the data that we're seeing come out now is catching up to the dissent. And that's awesome. It's too bad for the people who have to deal with the effects, obviously. But they're not going to be able to hide this forever. They're not going to be able to hide it eventually. I mean, pretty much all the conspiracy theorists, conspiracy realists, are batting 1,000 when it comes to these things. And us conspiracy realists need to demand accountability from these agencies, from these people who are touting these ridiculous mandates and stuff like that. Thankfully, President Trump is rescinding all of this stuff, and his HHS secretary is as well. But these people still need to be held accountable for what they did. Never forget what they did. Never forget what they did. And never, ever trust these people who say, trust the science. Never trust these people who say, trust the science, and then condemn you for questioning it. Because if you question it and they have a problem with that, they're hiding something. They're absolutely hiding something. They refuse to answer questions, run the other way, period. All right, y'all. Wow, I am long-winded. I don't know if I'm going to get through everything. I really don't know if I'm going to get through everything I wanted to get to today, because it's like drinking from a fire hose these days. There's always something. There's always something. And I want to, you know what? Let's go ahead and get a word in from our sponsor, because I'm late doing that, and I want to get into it before we move on, and I'm going to have to speed run through the rest of the show if I want to get to everything. But our sponsor for today's show is Patriot Mobile, and now more than ever, voting the right way just isn't enough. You need to make sure that your resources go to companies that fight for what you believe in. That's why we switched to Patriot Mobile. It is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they don't just talk about values, but they back it up. A portion of every dollar that you spend with them goes to pro-life, pro-family, pro-liberty organizations. And right now you can get a free month of service when you go to patriotmobile.com and use promo code Jackson, or call 972-PATRIOT and use promo code Jackson. Defend freedom with every call, text, every month. Switch to patriotmobile.com. That's patriotmobile.com. Switch to patriotmobile.com today. All right, y'all. I am Big E, and you are watching or listening to the Mission Ready Men briefing on the SHR Media Network, where you can catch a ton of great shows. My buddy Sackhead Sean with The Edge of Liberty every Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. The Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe, who is in chat. Thanks, Joe. Every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. And BZ with the Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. He will be on tonight. So please be sure to check it out. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share all of these great shows. And pray for us that we have a huge breakthrough this year. We are, at last count, I believe we were 12 away from 500. And that 500 subscription plateau opens up a lot of doors for us. And we are hoping and praying that you will support us as we march toward that goal. All right, let's get back to our regular scheduled programming. And as you all know, it's June. We are now in Sin Month, or as more commonly known, Pride Month. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. That's Proverbs 16:15. Pride Month has been bulldozing its way through every institution in the United States and around the world, let's be honest. Businesses, schools, and even some churches, which I won't really call those churches, but anyway, something's different this year. As I said earlier, the tide is turning. Corporate America, you're not seeing a lot of the rainbow logos that you saw in previous years. DEI is being rolled back by a lot of these companies, and the truth is coming out. And as I often say, this isn't just politics. This is cultural and spiritual, and it's about who we are going to let define our morality. Are we going to abide by God's morality, or are we going to let these degenerates, these demon rats, define morality? I think you know which way I'm headed. Trump's DEI rollbacks, gutting the mandates, that has had a huge effect. That has had a huge effect, and corporate America is backing off a lot of these campaigns to avoid financial and legal and political blowback. I mean, we saw what happened with Bud Light and some of these other companies that went full woke, went full DEI, went full trans ideology, and they took a huge hit. And I think that these companies are seeing that is going to be detrimental to their bottom line. And they're also seeing in some of the in some of the internal memos from these companies that are backing down, Target, like I said, Bud Light, North Face, American Airlines. In some of these internal memos, they're citing customer backlash, boycott fatigue, and the shareholders are putting pressure on them to cut this out. And we fought back. We fought back, and it's working. And we just have to we have to keep our foot on the gas. We have to keep our foot on the gas. And people love to say that this is hate. We hate the queer community, or whatever you want to call them, the alphabet mafia. We don't hate anyone. We just are refusing to bend the knee to the false idol of their ideology. It's that plain and simple. And we got the alphabet mafia launching this committee, which they spell with a Q, to try and fill the void that these people, that the corporations have left in their wake, and I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Their motto is, or one of their messages is, that they're going to take pride back to the streets without gatekeepers. The problem is that these people have never had any gatekeepers. They never had any boundaries. They demand total acceptance. They demand worship. They demand you to worship their false idol, and they will punish you if you don't. Or they will try to punish you if you don't. And so we have to be alert. We have to understand the time that we're living in. And this is not just a political retreat by these corporations. It's an opportunity for us to step in and have a cultural reformation, a revival of and bring back truth, and bring back common sense. And if we hold the line on truth, biblical truth, values, if we hold that line and speak it in love and not hate, but without compromise, if we do that, this is going to be a huge win for us, a huge win. This didn't happen by accident. This did not happen by accident. So we need to, like I said, keep our foot on the gas, keep speaking up, keep praying, keep building on this success, and we'll get rid of this pride nonsense. All right. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but I wanted to get into this because this is huge. There have been some huge wins with the Second Amendment. Washington, D.C., the federal government, the feds, they hate the fact that you have any liberty whatsoever. And states like my state of Texas and Florida are they're pushing back. They're pushing back, and they're pushing back in a huge way. Texas and Florida both just signed some very nice pro-gun, pro-liberty laws. Texas, Governor Abbott just signed SB 1596, which removes short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns from Texas's list of banned weapons. Now, they're still banned under the NFA, but Texas is no longer going to prosecute citizens for owning those firearms. That's huge. And just to refresh your memory, if you're not aware, the ATF, back under the Biden administration, reclassified millions of legally purchased firearms, braced pistols, as short-barreled rifles, which are illegal under the NFA, which turned those millions of law-abiding gun owners into felons like that, instantly, without congressional approval, by the way. And Texas, Governor Abbott just said, we're not going to enforce your ridiculous laws. And with all the problems I had with Governor Abbott, this was a nice win for him. And he also signed into law SB 1362, an anti-red flag law, which bans Texas agencies from enforcing red flag laws not passed by the Texas legislature. So if some other state wants to come in and arrest somebody on a red flag law, they will not do it. And it blocks the use of federal funds to implement red flag laws. And you know my stance on red flag laws. They are anti-constitutional. They are anti-property rights, and they go against the presumption of innocence. They go against due process. And so this is fantastic, and I salute Governor Abbott. For as many problems as I have with him, I salute him for this. This was fantastic. And in Florida, they repealed HB 6025. They repealed a law that banned gun sales and public carry during emergencies. At the time, during a declaration, an emergency declaration, which is often a time when people most need the ability to defend themselves and their property. This law was in place that banned that. Florida law enforcement could arrest you if you were trying to defend yourself in a state of emergency. And so this law repeals that. And this is absolutely amazing. This law basically dismantles the off switch that they put in for the Second Amendment and says no more. We're not gonna do that. That is outstanding. And these laws can serve as a blueprint for other freedom-loving states. Texas and Florida, they're protecting their citizens when the federal government tries to put them in danger. And so you need to support lawmakers that are coming up with bills like this. And if you're in a state other than Florida or Texas, send these bills to your representatives and tell them that they need to do something similar. Because this is pushing back against the tyranny of the woke DC elite. And I'm here for it. All right, so we got about exactly. How often is Florida in a state of emergency? Pretty much every time there's a hurricane, right? I mean, yeah. And we saw this happen in other states too. Louisiana, I think, had something similar. I don't know if they repealed that law yet, but yeah, people need to be able to protect themselves, and especially during those times of emergency. All right, we got about 6 minutes to go, and I wanted to get to a couple of really quick things. I'm sure you remember, I don't know what, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, or actually no, it was at Trump's inauguration. So about 6 months ago, Elon Musk, the American prop that labeled Elon Musk a Nazi, and just recently at the California Democratic Convention, Cory Booker did something similar, and the gesture that he made was the exact same one that Elon Musk made, but it's been crickets. It's been crickets from the American Pravda on this. But take a look at this, and you tell me if I'm losing my mind. It looks like the exact same gesture to me, but one made Elon Musk a Nazi, and the other one was just a wave to the crowd. And Keith Olbermann, he and a bunch of other leftists had these ridiculous explanations as to why it was different. The arm angle is the same, the wave to the crowd is the same, but one's a Nazi and one is not. Go figure. I don't get it. Other than the fact that these people are just insane. And Another one, another quick one that I want to get into. Um, I don't know if you know who Olivia Juliana is, but she's this left wing lesbian who is a Democrat activist, and she she doesn't understand why um, why young men don't want to hear from her in their fraternities. And well, let's see if you can tell me why they might not want it from her at their frat houses. Check this out.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I
He
spend a lot of time with
loves young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized like even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because
I don't know. I can't understand why they wouldn't want to hear from her. When I first saw this person, I thought it was just an overweight, gender diluted dude. But it turns out that that it's an actual woman, which is kind of shocking. But what real quick before we go, um, the Washington Post, the Washington Compost, as I like to call it, they're not really understanding why fentanyl seizures at the border are down. Take a look at this. This is who I really don't understand these people. I do not understand these people at all. The mysterious drop in fentanyl seizures on the U.S.-Mexico border. The reasons behind the decrease in fentanyl seizures in the U.S. and along the Mexico-U.S. border are complex. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not complex at all. There is deterrence at the border, and so they cannot cross with impunity like they did under the Biden administration. It's that plain and simple. It's that plain and simple. And Mexico, the Mexican government, is doing a much better job at helping us on the border. And so it's really not that difficult. They're having a much harder time getting it across. And so people who don't have more than two brain cells to rub together will say, well, you would think the seizures would be up. Well, no, they're not gonna take the chance with the same amount of fentanyl crossing the border when they know that there are border patrol and military and Mexican federales and all over the border now. They know that. I mean, it's not that difficult. But of course, it's the Washington Compost, and they're geniuses over there. So they apparently just don't get it. That's right, BZ. Sometimes as a big dog, you just got to stick your foot in their butts. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, BZ, I've been smacked by the gob, and I like I said, it's really not that difficult. It's really not. Yes, and they are labeled as terrorists by the federal government. Exactly. Exactly. All right, y'all. That's all I got for you this time. I will keep trying to, and I'm a little bit over time too, but I will keep trying to make each episode better than the last one. If any of what I said hits home, please take a second to like and subscribe and share it with everyone that you know. Like I said, we are just 12 away from 500, and that is a huge milestone for us, a huge plateau that we can hit and start to reach a lot more people. So, like I say, share it with everyone that you know. And I'm not just here to opine on these things. I'm trying to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and carry the banner of faith, freedom, and hope for future generations. And if you want some cool gear, head over to missionreadymen.com, click Shop 7 Armors, and check out this design I'm wearing, We the People, and all the other great designs that we have over there. It's all about bold faith, true grit, and unapologetic patriotism. And as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.